My name is Cheryl Woodburn. I am the Canadian Country Manager for Provenir. For those of you that are not familiar with Provenir, we have been optimizing risk decisions for companies since 2004 with our data-driven, AI-powered decisioning engine platform. We have powered over 3 billion transactions for clients annually in over 50 countries around the world. We were recently announced as the Data Solution of the Year for Finance by Data Breakthrough Awards and have been announced as a finalist for the Fintech Innovator Award from the Canadian Lenders Association. At this time, I'm proud to introduce Kathy Stairs, our Executive Vice President of North America. Kathy has responsibility for overseeing consulting, sales, customer success, professional services in the US and Canada, and our strategic partnerships on a global basis. She has more than 20 years of experience and accomplishments in financial services technology industry from organizations like FICO, Endstream, and TransUnion. Kathy's professional passion is helping organizations leverage technology to build world-class experiences for their customers. She's now going to walk us through her thoughts on how to leverage AI and data to enable and grow your business. Kathy, over to you.
Thank you, Cheryl, and good morning. Good morning, everybody. So 2 things before we get started. That was flawless, Cheryl. I will tell you behind the scenes, we had some technology challenges. I couldn't share my screen, so had to dump that onto Cheryl. So she is actually did that blind, not being able to see her own screen. So appreciate that. And secondly, I have never been and still am not used to the backward facing cameras. So if I move, it's because I can see my own face and it looks like I'm in the wrong angle. So I just wanted to share that all with you. Maybe AI can help us figure that out. So I'm going to talk to you today about data and this AI, not I. And the session is called Future Proofing Your Business. And it's something that I think we all need to be passionate about. It's something that I'm passionate about. And I always like to start these talks off with why. Why should we talk about future-proofing your business? And I'm going to reference a PwC study where let's talk about the size of the prize. By 2030, which sounds insane, but isn't that long off, it's estimated that AI will be $15.7 trillion contributing to the global economy, bigger than many countries' GDP. And of that, more than half is going to be attributed, I think it was about 9 million and change, attributed to consumption side effects of AI on us as individuals, and the balance being on increased productivity. So with that, let's go to the next slide, please, Cheryl. So we did our own survey. So we went out to over 400 people distributed around the world. I'm giving you a bit of a Canadian landscape of that, but I will say that a lot of these were actually mirrored completely around the world. And so we asked customers, I believe it was about 400 of them, decision makers, ranging from companies of early startups through to mature companies, and asked them some questions. And so we bucketed these into a couple things that I want to talk to you about today. So one is the digital experience, and 62% of people we spoke to said they would switch companies for consumers, pardon me, would switch companies, they may too, switch companies for a better digital experience. And the reality is what we're seeing is we're sort of coming out of COVID. We've spent 2020, everybody was scrambling to adjust. 2021, getting our feet on solid ground. Now we're in 2022, and customers are saying, this is in the rearview mirror now. Let's focus on the new normal. And what they really want, and we'll talk a little bit about this, is true automation along with the digital experience. And then 74% of you, if you were included, and 74% in the industry say digital fraud, very concerning, still concerning. Fraud's been concerning, for as long as we've been doing transactions, but digital fraud, 74%. And there was a big increase suspected from 2020 to 2021. And I think you'll all have realized that impact on your businesses should it have had a negative impact. And what I would say is No kidding. 43% increase in payment transactions from 2020 to 2021, according to Forrester. And so that's a lot of throughput in a purely digital way. And so what we want to do is look at solutions when we're looking at AI. How can AI help solve the fraud problem? And then finally, 43% of Canadians conducted over 50% of their retail finance and business transactions online in 2021. And that's a big increase, and that's only increasing year over year. So, you know, going back to that that digital Forrester report, 58% of consumers really feel now that customers should have their stuff, I'll keep it PG, together by now. And COVID, the disruptions, the time for, you know, it's okay, we can wait a little bit longer, the understanding that we're all going through this together, that's gone. Let's get to the new normal. So we really want to look at, when we're talking about automation and AI, and you'll see this throughout the rest of the presentation, is there is a difference between offering a digital experience, something that they can see online, and really automating and personalizing that experience into real time. Near real time, not good enough anymore. Let's go to the next slide. So data and AI payments, the obstacles. We ask the same customers, so what's preventing you? What's preventing you from using AI today? And 74% really struggle with integrating data. Data silo, data, you know, there's many providers, there's new data popping up all the time. And it's really hard to get that into risk processes. 82% think, you know, are our models accurate? And I think it's, you know, less than 76 or greater than 76%, sorry, can't see, are saying that they're concerned they're not accurate enough. And I think that what you'll see when we talk about AI and automation and using AI to power insightful decisions, that, you know, taking a model, training a model, taking it out, the 3 to 6 life cycle, that now the decision's already passed. The trend you're trying to find is gone because we're moving that fast. And then 80% say they feel to see an ROI in under 120 days. And that's changing. That landscape's changing. We need to remove the obstacles. So how do we remove these obstacles? And I think you really do it by looking at a provider for your business that is able to access disparate, large amounts of structured, unstructured data, process a tremendous amount of it in a very short time, and then reveal or, you know, be able to operationalize that both in systems and processes to reveal insights. So, you know, this needs to be a continuous, iterative, and constantly learning in real time program or platform for your businesses. So let's talk about some of the hows. How do we do that? Before we get there, we're going to take a little commercial break here, and we have a polling question for you. So we'd like to know if those obstacles, rather, I just went through, really resonate for you, or if you have different barriers in access and using alternative data. And you may ask, why am I not asking about your ability to use AI? Because without data, AI doesn't exist. So we want to really get to that underneath that. So, you know, is it not easily integrated, as we talked about? Is it not accessible based on technology, you know, being able to take in external data sources? Is it too unstructured? You know, do you not believe in the value of some of these data sets that are out there, or the impact that it can have on your business? If you can throw any of that up in the ask the speaker, or even to join the conversation, we can take a look at it, and we'll get to it at the end of the presentation. So with that, to the data, and, you know, it says accelerate AI with data ecosystems, and that's really what it is. And so in order to make the most use of AI in your processes, there always is human logic, right? There are always people that are looking at designing the processes. How do you take all of that information that AI and ML has and be able to turn it into usable insights in every interaction with your customer along their journey with your organization? And, you know, part of that is when you look for a platform to do this, integrating and accessing data has to be super simple. It has to be drag and drop in today's environment. It has to be, I'm now aware of a new data source and I want to grab that and bring it in. So these are the types of data that we're seeing across the industry that are used in every transaction in real-time basis. So that's fast processing speed, incorporating learnings. So I hope that this resonates with you. And if it doesn't, throw up a comment. But looking at identity, we talked about the fraud, 74% of people being concerned with fraud, identity, document verification, KYC, bureau data, mobile data, device data, again, for fraud, alternative data, social data, behavioral data. There's all sorts of databases that are out there. Specific fraud. If you're in B2B business data, sanctions, compliance, regulatory, things that you have to have in there. Open banking. I think what a big trend we'll see in 2022 that we've already seen is the continual rise of inclusion in banking, accessible banking, payments, transactions. And it doesn't just, this is across the board in AI, but for our world, how we make the decisions we make, that transparency and accessibility is huge. And all of these are used in every transaction. So can you integrate these quickly into your decision-making processes and technologies? We can move ahead, Cheryl. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here because these are the alternative data that when we went out to our customers, they, in the survey, these were the types of data they were using. So age verification, huge, right? And we all know that knockout rule, or, whatever you're in, are you 18? Are you allowed to be here? Do you need your mom or dad's permission? All those types of rules that go into our decision-making and into our processes. Not so much in real-time payment, but onboarding for sure. Bank account verification and validation. This is something we talked about, open banking. So that ability to share information, or I talked about open banking, KYC, income verification, fraud, document verification, employment verification. So if you notice, the first 3 blue and 4 purple are really addressing and looking at that fraud issue where, the concern and ability to detect fraud, to detect it early at the point of origination, but also all the way through fraud in real-time transactions, having the AI and the models and the machine learning running at real time along where the transaction rails, to be able to identify very quickly that something's up here and we need to take action. And then we get into there's some more identity verification, collections, potential open banking, some fraud specific, anti-money laundering, affordability, and then, social media, interesting. And then there's 1% of the respondents that use something that we hadn't even categorized, which is awesome because, those are the types of things we need to learn to be able to bring into category. And social media, I know that we haven't, and when I say we, I'm speaking of we in the industry, have kind of had a love-hate relationship with social media data and how you bring it in and how you find the insights from it in a payment environment or in any other financial services environment. What can it tell you? And this is where the AI and the automation and the ML can really provide insights into how you can use that data. So this is it. This is the money slide here, right? With, how you future-proof, or how you create a foundation of future-proof your business. And really it's interesting because when I was reviewing these slides and preparing for this session, and it was much too late to do this, but I thought really we only need 2 clouds up there because data and AI can fold into one. And we talked about this, but I really want to drive this point home. When you're looking for partners in this or creating this environment in your own organization, having easy access to both traditional and alternative data is is king. That's, that's what disruptors are doing. When you look at what are disruptors doing in the environment right now, and we have the luxury of working with many of them around the world, it's that ease or desire to get as much data into an organization so that you can have a holistic view of consumers and subject matter experts. And I got to be honest, I'm not sure why we say "and subject matter experts." Sorry, as I read that out loud, it didn't resonate, but it does for consumers. And then the AI, right? Simplifying AI to analyze data straight across the customer lifecycle to power those intelligence decisions. And I want to spend a moment here because, there's a lot of AI. It's been around for us for some time, but there's always that, is it going to displace, replace, do some of those things to your organization and to the talent and the brain trust and IP in the organization? And my view on it actually is that it empowers that organization. It empowers them tremendously. It removes some of the very mundane tasks of getting the data, processing the data, analyzing the data, that 3 to 6 month time period where we're waiting to look at insights, where we're, constantly thinking of what do we have to do next to get ahead of that big gap in time cycle. And, I get excited about using AI and ML in those categories because it creates an environment of work, not wait. Real-time ability to process a tremendous volume of data, to operationalize, to design models with that AI infused insights, and then to be able to deploy them in, that human logic where I say, this is when we create credit policies, when we look at the insights to say, should this payment go through? Should it not? Is this truly a behavioral risk situation? Can I identify this pattern from, that Kathy does this every 8 months, or, and that may be a very simplistic example, but that's really what, looking at to do that. So taking that entire AI, ML, model building, data science design, creating insights, seeing results, champion challenger testing, waiting to see all of that and pull that together real time, it creates a huge opportunity to leapfrog product design, marketing campaigns, understanding your customer, meeting your customer where they are and delivering what, your customer is expecting to you, which is real-time insights, real-time consumer interaction, real-time payments, real-time, across the, the financial services, but very payment specific and real-time to access for BNPL. And do I qualify for BNPL? And is this something that we should be looking at for this customer or offering to this customer? And other new product sets like that can all be driven by having a very robust, real-time, data-friendly and easily integrated into that solution to power that innovation. That's what disrupts. And then, of course, you need the core. You need the foundation. You need the ability to put all of this into place. And that's the technology and that's the decisioning. So having a low-code, no-code decisioning technology and creating that into action so you can learn and iterate using all that AI-powered decisioning flow through and create the best strategies and strategies that learn and change and use machine learning to say, hey, Kathy, your model's getting out of date. It's drifted. Hey, Kathy, some of your strategies need to be adjusted. And being able to do that from a business perspective is powerful and really puts the power into your own hands. So let's go to the next slide.
Just a quick comment before we move on. Under the data, it was meant to say SMB, small and medium business, which is still a typo we didn't catch. So that was just a comment on that.
There you go. Thanks for that. So, these are the points where, and I think this kind of boils everything together, and I appreciate that I'm a fast talker. So I'll try to slow down and incorporate everything I've done through the beginning slides here. And all of this is to say, in future proofing your solutions, again, the whole digital transformation, getting ready for digital, putting all of those efforts in, they're in the rear view mirror. And there's a reason why it's much smaller than the windshield, right? It's the forward looking innovation, empowering you to meet customers where they are in their life and improve their daily life and every interaction you have with them, is the future. And selecting future proofing solutions, selecting solutions that can grow in scale, that can innovate with you, that continually innovate themselves, that see what is out there and being able to bring it in without having an impact on your business. So from a technology side, without having to do a huge upgrade, without having to rip and replace, without having to bring in and budget a year in advance. Agile, simple to implement, simple to manage, and truly automated, I think, are the themes for future proofing. And it's also the themes on which good AI platforms are built. So, again, pulling it together, and I can't say this enough, simple data access, see the big picture, see everything there is to see about the transaction, decision, or consumer that you're interacting with on a daily basis in real time. Purpose-built AI, there wasn't a comma in there, use cases, specific models. With AI now and ML, you can build models for very, very specific use cases in real time and use the insights of those models to fuel intelligent decisions. No code UI, being able to easily navigate around your AI powered decisioning system, to learn, to iterate, to develop future ideas, all in one platform. Huge. Compliant and transparent. AI should not be a black box. How a model is built should not be a black box anymore. You need to be able to explain. They should have full explainability into how it's created, what decisions are being made, and how it's impacting your business. It should be non-biased. When I talked about inclusivity and making sure that we reach all the unbanked, we reach all the people that haven't been able to do transactional banking, that we're able to process for everybody. So, being able to be transparent and explainable and inclusive, huge. Auto-optimized decision. I touched on this on the slide previously, but why not run an ML model against your existing model as it's in there and see if it learns real time and does that. Hey, Kathy, we're drifting. Let's do a change. You can champion challenge models now. We're all used to champion challenging or beta test, A/B testing of certain payment schemes, certain financial decision trees. We can do that with AI. We can do it with our models. We can do it with the heart of how we make decisions. And finally, a unified solution for improved agility. And that's why, when I talk about an AI-fueled decisioning platform, they should be integrated. And the closer they are integrated, the faster that you come to see the benefits of AI. And in fact, we talk about AI, and I'm just going through my notes here because it just dawned on me that I missed a data point that I think is very important. And it was saying that by 2025, this is the PwC, by 2025, 100% of companies globally will be using AI. And so future proofing, only 3 years out, starts now with that closely integrated system that actually brings the ability, we say natively, the ability for it to be right in the design of your decisioning system or platform to use AI. And so, I'm passionate about the space. I think that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity here to really, through the use of AI and decisioning platforms, to not only better the lives, and I believe that what we do in financial services better the lives of individuals every day, of our consumers, also our employees. Work not wait, increase productivity. We talked about right at the beginning where I said, the 15.7 trillion in the global economy, and 6.5 million of that was on productivity for employees, productivity for consumers. And so I think that with AI, we can bring that all together. So that's it. I'm leaving. Thank you. I'm leaving some time for questions, and I'm just going to, nope. So are there any questions from anybody in there? I don't see anything in Ask the Speaker or Join the Conversation. So I'll just wait a moment, but I'm absolutely thrilled to start another brief conversation or address any questions in the last few minutes that we have. I know I know the session was to 10:30, I believe, and so I had covered that quickly. So even if there's anything that you have that you may want clarification from, or if I glossed over anything too quickly, feel free. I'll wait just 30 seconds, and if not, I know you guys are in a conference where you're in front of your computers all day, and so I am happy to give you. Actually, I AI powered my speech. And thank you, Tamara. Oh, Joseph, there's a question. Where do you see AI and its development helping in this quest? And I'm guessing you mean payments specifically. And so what I would say is that, let's go back to, we've looked in the payment industry, spent a lot of time on real-time rails and open banking and how that impacts the Canadian market. And all of that has to, data and regulations and processes really need to be consumed and taken into consideration when you're building products out or when you're creating a payment space. So let's, as an example, let's talk about buy now, pay later in payments and the ability to do that and to monitor the transactions that are aligned with a buy now, pay later product, as an example. And being able to even real time communicate with your customer. And so by creating models in that space on, what to offer, how to offer BNPL, how your customers are consuming it, when to move them off of BNPL, as an example, into potentially another form of credit, in that environment. Specifically for transaction, if we're talking about real-time transactions, I think AI in that space, fraud, right? Transactional fraud. I mean, the amount of transactions that flow through a payment system, you all are aware, and just the sheer volume of that, and of your role in that. And I'm not sure where you're from, a solution architect. I'm not sure sorry, I can't see where you're from, Joseph, but what that does is be able to detect real-time transactional fraud in a highly scalable, highly accurate, and truly real-time environment, to call it out and then to be able to take insights on it and when to action one way or the other on it, is a use case that we're actually exploring right now. And we huge findings and lift and benefits out of that. So that would be one very specific to payments that came to mind with respect to how AI may have an impact, or direct that you can see impact in the payment space. Thanks for the question. Hopefully that answered it, Joseph. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So you know what? I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Stretch your legs, bio break, grab a coffee before you move on to your next session. And I'm truly appreciative of the forum and being able to share, some of my thoughts on future proofing with AI, and sort of what the industry has been saying around the subject. So, and thank you to you, Cheryl, for the wonderful introduction and for putting the slides up for me. And see, this
Thanks,
is
Kathy.
examples where my head seems weird, and so now I got to move it. And
I'm just going to invite everybody to visit us at our virtual booth as well. So we do have our virtual booth available. Feel free to go in, book a session. Our team is ready and waiting to have a conversation very specific to you about data and AI and decisioning, and how Provenir might be able to help you. So please go ahead and book that session anytime.
Wonderful. Enjoy the rest of the conference, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.